Ladies and gentlemen, today I had my first ever debate with a random viewer who commented on my most recent video that I made about a very, very young transgender girl going before a school board and sharing a very, very powerful, very wonderful story. So, without further ado, here is my first ever debate with a random viewer on transgenders. Before we get started, I guess I'll just give you just a little chance to just kind of introduce yourself and tell me um, what you feel so strongly about.
Well, yeah, I'm Stefan. I'm 21. I live in Macedonia.
Okay.
The first comment was so call it emotional
Yeah.
because I mean, I was one of those kids, I was confused and I didn't fit in, and I could have very easily fallen victim to this call it narrative.
Right.
And I do take some offense to this. It's a little personal for me.
Okay. All right. And to that point, when you do say you take offense to it, how do you mean? What specifically do you mean by that? Do you mean like just transgenders existing? Do you mean the gender
No, no,
affirming
no.
care?
Uh, I don't have a problem with transgender people. I don't care what you as an adult do or don't do. Live your
Okay.
life, you're free to do so. You're an adult. There's a reason we call you adults, right?
Right.
But I do take great offense in doing these things to children because, I mean, there's a reason we call them children. They can't make decisions for themselves.
Right. Okay. I understand what you mean when you say that there, and we're gonna get into that. Before we do, I just want to show everybody the comment here really quick. I have it right here, just the whole thread actually.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what happened here. Um, Sorry. Okay, so can you see my screen over here?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. So your original comment said, "Fuck you for promoting child abuse, you disgusting piece of shit, and fuck anyone and everyone who supports you." And I don't care about language like that. And I asked you to come on and debate me, since you think it's child abuse, and you accepted the debate. You said, "Yes, I'll debate you since I know for a fact that it is child abuse. Instead of helping these kids feel comfortable in their bodies, you want to cut off parts and feed them drugs." Um, so my thing about it is, and I've been doing as much research as I can about this because I didn't think that I didn't know that this was such a huge issue, but the science and the actual empirical uh tangible science that we have available to us, and there's always going to be more data that's coming out about everything because that's how science is. Stuff keeps coming out, and sometimes they come out and sometimes shit they say, well, we were wrong about this, but it seems as though, at least according to the data, that mental health benefits, positive mental health benefits, and physical health benefits are associated with gender affirming care, and specifically gender affirming care for
Uh,
youths. Um,
Right, but there is that one study that says that trans people are have the most suicidal ideation 7 to 10 years after surgical and social transition. So
what study is that you're referencing? Because all of the studies I
I
have kind of say the
mhm.
opposite, that people that do receive gender affirming care actually have a 44% reduction in suicidal ideation when compared with transgender and gender diverse people who had not had gender affirming surgery but wanted it. This is from a Harvard study that I have right here. I've brought this up on my channel many
Mhm.
times. It was a 42% reduction in psychological distress, 44% reduction in suicidal ideation, and then also a 35% reduction in tobacco smoking among people who had gender affirming surgeries, which I know that that's not really what we're talking about, but I thought that that is
Mhm.
important.
Well, yeah, look, studies can be made anything truly. Even my study could be inaccurate, and I feel like yours are most definitely inaccurate. The
Well,
problem
it's
with
they
modern
took a
studies.
it's a per they took they used real people like participants in the
Mhm.
study, and they asked them. So these are real people, and they took this data, and this is what they're showing us. They're just showing us the data that they took from real life people. So these are people that they used. That's how it works. So when you say it's
Right.
inaccurate, how is it inaccurate? Because you don't agree
Well,
with it? Because it's not
uh,
inaccurate.
I don't agree with it. That's a whole separate issue. The point is, most of studies on the subjects like this, there's a there's a problem from the get-go with them because they come to a conclusion which they want to reach, and then they find people which will give them that conclusion. It's not a study, it's basically just like a paper.
Well,
It's
I mean, when well, you see, you're sitting there and you're saying, well, it's not a study. It is a study. A lot of these studies that they do, I mean, you can go and look at gender research on gender affirming care that goes all the way back into the 1990s. And even back then,
Mhm.
if you go and look at it, they were saying back then when they had very, very little information on it. And even now, again, we're still getting lots of information. And they were saying back in the 90s, even that, they thought gender affirming care. I don't know what it was like in the 90s. I was born in 2001, so I wasn't even alive back then. But they said even back in the 90s, they were kind of leaning toward gender affirming care, even for youths, promoting these positive mental health benefits. Another thing, to your point that you said earlier, you said that there was a study that said that 8 to 10 years after they have a high suicidal ideation, but so when it comes to numbers on how many people like regret transitioning or feel regret or want to detransition, the numbers are a little fuzzy. There are some estimates that put like detransitions and whatever as low as less than 1% in the US and some as high as 8%. But even then,
Mhm.
it's a really, really small number. Um,
Well, yeah, but I mean, the number should be non-existent. This shouldn't happen because once the damage is done, you can't take it back.
well,
Detransitioning does nothing.
what damage is being done though? Like I don't understand what the
Well,
problem is.
if we're talking about children, well, the damage is number one, like I pointed out earlier, they aren't able to make decisions for themselves. Their brains aren't fully developed. They don't know what they want. I mean, hell, I'm 21 and I still don't know what I want on most things.
Yeah.
But my point is that we shouldn't allow kids to make these decisions. Wait until they're 18. Well, wait until they're 21. The alcohol buying age in the US is 21. Why not wait until then?
Well,
Why is it so pertinent to start at teens or preteens even? There's no point to it.
well, that's actually so. This is something that I actually found out while I was researching for
Hmm.
this. If you do wait, your normal cisgender hormones start to kind of take over, and so when you start to mature and get older, it can cause very real distress amongst these people that feel like they want to transition. So the longer you do wait, the harder it can be for stuff like hormone replacement therapy to actually be effective and work down the road.
Right. Hmm. Look, the problem with medical transition is it's not as the narrative, the mainstream narrative is what making us to believe, right? There's a massive, I think it was like a 67% complication rate in most transgender affirming care in the surgeries they do. Uh, there is, I think,
Do
up
you have
to
that? Like, do you have that number? Because I've never heard that number before.
Honestly, that's a number I got from the What Is a Woman documentary. I'm sure you're familiar with it.
So the Daily Wire, Matt Walsh.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, but even in that, I mean, you were sitting there saying that studies can be fake. What is a woman is probably some of the shittiest propaganda that I can possibly think of. Uh,
Okay,
Matt
well
Matt
then,
Walsh is one of
how
those
about
people.
this?
Well, to your point, you said that people that go and do studies, they find people to get the answer that they want. I don't agree with you with that on all. I think that that's just not right at all. But isn't that what
Okay.
Matt Walsh did with the What Is a Woman documentary? He went and he found these specific people and he put them in the documentary and he featured very specific clips of these people to fit his narrative. Isn't that what Matt Walsh did with the documentary that you're referencing?
Well, no, that's not how I see it. How about this?
Well, what's the
Answer
difference
the
then?
question then.
Okay,
Well,
all
the
right, all right.
difference is he asked the people, he asked them questions, they answered the questions. For most of the documentary, he sat there and listened and just asked a couple of questions.
Yeah.
He allowed them to explain as much as they wanted in whichever way they wanted.
So,
There's nothing wrong with that. That's what a documentary should be.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah. I understand what you mean. Um, I guess what see again when it comes to someone like Matt Walsh and what you were saying, he can make it whatever he wants it to be. he can make the documentary present the whatever he had in it, which I haven't seen the whole documentary front to back. I have seen clips and pieces of it.
You really should.
They posted it somewhere for free, but I have
I
still,
think Twitter.
yeah, I think so. But you know, does he have, or again, you said 67% or 60 something percent of all gender affirming surgeries have some form of complication. When you say some form of complication, what do you mean by that? Like,
Well, complications during surgery, obviously, problems with anesthetics, which go with every surgery. Let's not dive into that one. I mean, complications after the surgery, such as infections or not the surgery itself not being done as well as it could be. These sorts of complications. More to the point, there are a tremendous amount of follow-up surgeries to most medical transition cases.
yeah.
I've heard numbers from like 2 to 15 post-op surgeries, corrective surgeries.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's I don't see how that's I don't see how having more than one operation is inherently bad when again, not not giving them this gender affirming care. We know from the evidence, the science that you say you don't agree with and don't think is real. We know from that evidence that not giving people like minors gender affirming care can make them mentally and physically ill.
Right, but if these minors feel like they need this gender affirming care, isn't there some sort of problems to begin with? Some mental health issues that are there from the start?
I don't know if it's necessarily a mental health issue. Um,
It
I
can just be confusion. It can be discomfort in one's own body.
yeah.
It doesn't matter. I'm using mental health issue as a broader term here.
Yeah. Well, see, like when in my video that you commented on, I featured a little girl who is 11 years old, and
Yeah.
she was saying that she's very confident in who she is now. She's very happy with who she is. She's comfortable with the person that
Mhm.
she has become since transitioning. And she was going up in front of the school board to kind of talk about how it's hard for her to live her everyday life. It's hard for her to live a normal life because there are people out there that want to say that she's delusional, she's crazy. I featured in the video this anti-trans some outlet or group. I don't even know. It's called GenSpect. I'd never even
Mhm.
heard of them. But to say that it's just like confusion and they're kids and they don't really know what they want, I feel like that's kind of not really addressing the issue here. And again, right now, as October 6, 2023, right now in this very moment, we have the best technology, medicine, whatever we have for everything, and it's only going to get better as time advances and humans advance. So,
Mhm.
to your points about them having multiple post-op surgeries, this, that, and the other, that stuff, even if that is true, that will get better as time goes on. But I really want to focus on you saying that it's just confusion and we shouldn't be letting kids do this. What how many do you think that this is like a really common thing amongst children? Like how many people do you think are transgender or
Uh,
adolescents, I should say?
I don't know the number, and I'm not going to pretend that I do, but I do know that it's significantly growing in the past few years,
Well,
perhaps call it a decade.
that's actually not true either. According to just the data, the
Mhm.
transgender population it has been slowly rising, but it's been a trend that has been pretty steady for over a decade. It's been very steady. There haven't been some big jumps, any big dips. It's been a pretty steady train moving forward for a while now. But
Right, but true, genuine gender dysphoria is a serious condition, and it's not that common. But trans people are becoming more and more common. How do you
yes,
explain that one? There's
I
obviously something that's making these people think this way, believe this.
is we'll see like what do you think that is?
I think genuinely it's social contagion. They see it all the time on YouTube and TikTok and all the
See
interwebs.
what the trans population is there's only 1.6 million, there's 334 million people in America. That's where I live. And there's 1.6 million people that are transgender, 13 and up, that identify as transgender. So that's a really, really small amount of the population that is transgender. There's not really a whole lot of transgender representation in media. Maybe on social media, there are some popular transgender stars, but
Wait.
I feel like the right and the right wing, Daily Wire, guys like Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro,
Uh-huh.
Brett Cooper, Candace Owens, it's fear mongering. That's what conservatives do. They're making this issue to seem like it's something that it's not. It's not. It's not. It's not as big a deal as these people make it seem like it is. They want to try to scare these people and say that, it's this, that they're coming for your kids. They want to do this to your kids. They want to cut their genitals off, and that's just not what's happening. That's not real.
Uh,
There's no evidence to support that. The amount of people that detransition is so incredibly tiny compared to the people that are compared to the people that don't transition. And even then, you have to look at the positive mental and physical health benefits that are associated with gender affirming care. And even those that do detransition, over half of them, according to studies, over half of the people that end up detransitioning, it's external driving factor. Most of the time, it's people in their family or finances that are making them detransition. It's not them regretting
exactly, and that's another point. Finances. Do you know how much these surgeries cost?
Well, now that's a different. That's a completely different conversation.
Yeah, it
That's
is a
the
different
healthcare
conversation. I
system
wanted to make
is
this point. Yeah,
completely
it's messed up
garbage.
in your country.
Very fucked
This
up.
is the point I wanted to make. You can't let children do this. It's not right. They
Well,
cannot make that decision. I have a perfect example. Matter of
okay.
fact, right here.
Yeah.
See that's a tattoo.
Yeah.
I've wanted one since I was 9, 10. My mother didn't let me. She would have killed me if I got one.
Yeah.
Literally would have killed me.
Mm-hmm.
And at 21, I got it because I
Yeah.
knew that I wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
I was a child. I couldn't make the decision. I shouldn't have been able to make the decision. This is the same with these children. And would you say the damage is already done with cisgender hormones? No,
Yeah.
you can still do it. There's nothing holding you back from doing it as an adult.
Well, but
But if
again,
you do it as a child, you will have a much higher chance of regretting it because you don't know what you want.
yeah.
Most of the time, children don't know what toy they want to play with. How
Yeah.
can they for sure know what gender they want to be and not change their minds? They can't change their minds even. There is no going back once you do it. Things are gone and
Well,
things are added. You can't go back.
you can detransition, and but uh number one, I don't know if like getting a tattoo is the same as like
It's
transitioning.
very, very similar. It's
Mm,
very close. It's
I
something that you do once that you cannot change ever. It will be on your body
Well, you can get a
forever
tattoo
until the day you
removed, just like
die.
you can detransition. But again,
Not fully
once
for
you get
both of them.
when you get older, it is harder for them to try. Hormone replacement therapy it's a lot harder to transition once you get older because your body is matured. All of the normal hormones, when you're not on hormone replacement therapy, have taken full effect of your body. This is something that, again, I'm not as well versed on as I should be right now for this, because I, just was reading about this, but it is a real thing. And when you say, well, we shouldn't be letting kids do this, kids can't just walk into like a health clinic or a hospital or whatever it is that they're going to do and say, I wanna change my gender. That's not how it works.
But it
The
is.
Well, it's not though. It's not that easy. If it was that easy, then the transgender population would be higher, because it's like you said, there are people that finances. There's so many different things that prevent people from having gender affirming care. There's also a lot of anti trans legislation that bans gender affirming care in the states here, which is something that is
Yeah.
super, super dangerous, because
But it isn't.
it is, because
It's
the
simply
mental
saying
health
you
benefits
aren't
associated
okay.
with gender affirming care for youths are
Mhm.
undeniable. You can't deny that fact. If you're not
But you
accepting that
can.
fact, then you're not living in reality. You're living in la la land.
Uh,
It's a delusion.
we can. I'm not sure which one of
These
us is
the science.
living in
So
reality
do
here.
you think that the scientists that spend their entire lives researching, the scientists that have been working on transgender research since the 90s, it's 2023, do you think that they're making all this shit up? Do you actually
Yes,
think why? That doesn't make any fucking sense. They have no
but it
reason
does.
to make it
Yes,
up.
they do.
Why?
They're pushing the trans agenda.
What
Why? I don't
that
know. They
doesn't
want
make
to be
sense. That's
PC. They want
something
to
that
be inclusive,
conservatives
but it
made
is
up.
true. No,
Conservatives
it
made up
isn't.
the trans agenda. There's no such thing as a trans agenda. It's
But there
just
is.
transgender people existing. No, there's not.
No,
You
look,
haven't.
okay, if it's
What
just
is the trans
transgender
agenda?
people
What
existing,
is the
okay,
trans
if it's
agenda? Tell me what the trans agenda is.
they want to be accepted and assimilated into society as regular humans, which they're not. They
That's
are not just an everyday normal person.
They are.
There
Transgender
are an
people are
exception to the
normal
rule.
fucking people. They're normal human
Okay?
beings. They're
Okay,
just
so a
like you and me.
transgender man, okay, so a transgender man can father children, have sex with a woman, ejaculate inside of her, baby out 9 months.
I'm sorry. Can you like repeat that? I got a little confused there.
Yeah, okay, I will repeat it. So, a transgender man, meaning a biological woman who transitions into a man, can father children with another woman, have sex, ejaculate inside of that woman. 9 months later, baby comes out of that womb. Correct?
I yeah, I'm still a little confused on what you're saying. I really don't understand what you're trying to say.
Okay, yeah, let's use the different gender. A man who transitions into a woman can give birth to a child. Can they?
I have seen cases of that. Yes, there
No, you
is.
haven't.
I pull it up for you right now.
Pull it
I've
up.
seen
What?
multiple cases of transgender men fathering children. It was a New York Post
How?
article.
They don't have a uterus.
That's how science works now, man. That's how far we've come. It's crazy, I know, but that's how awesome it is. That's how awesome science is. But you don't believe in science. You're sitting here telling me that the
No, I
scientists are
believe very
lying
much in
about it.
science.
But you're saying that these scientists and these researchers are lying about it. They're not lying. They don't have a reason to lie. They don't have an agenda to push. That doesn't make sense. These people dedicate their lives to researching this shit, and that's all they do. They don't have a reason to lie about it. This is their job. Their
I
job is
think
to
they
do
do
these
have a
things
reason
and
to
to
lie.
find these things
There's
out.
pressure by the people above them who support this ideology. They're pressured by society who calls them transgender trans crap. I lost my words here. English is a second language. Who call them bigots for not supporting these transitions and this ideology. There's most definitely pressure to lie and toe the company line, basically.
Okay. So you said you wanted evidence of trans men giving birth, and I actually have 3 different examples here. If I
All
can
right, let's see
find
them.
my screen. Can you see it? I don't know if you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the one Danny Wakefield, this is actually the one that I am familiar with because they have a social media account that they were posting about this on. Danny Wakefield and Caden Coleman are both transgender men that father children, and there's one more here. Logan Brown. These are both
Okay,
trans. These
hang
are all
on.
trans men that gave birth to children.
Right, meaning they were women who transitioned into men, correct?
Yes, and that's what you asked me. You asked me
Right,
if
but they have,
transgender men can give birth, and
yeah,
I proved you that that's what I just showed
no, no,
you.
no. My point is that a trans man, meaning a woman who transitions into a man, cannot be a man. Just like a man who transitions into a woman cannot be
But
a
they
woman.
are. But that's what they are. He is
But they're
someone
not.
who transitions to be a man is a man, and someone who transitions to be a woman.
Okay.
That's your
Okay.
opinion, but the fact is what it is. Your
Okay,
opinion
let's
is
take a step back. Take
your
a step
opinion
back.
is wrong. It's just
Okay, I'm willing to
scientifically
accept that.
incorrect.
Sure, why not? Okay, how about one question? What
Okay.
is a man? What is a woman? I'm
I
going to pose the same exact question Matt Walsh posted in his documentary. What is a woman?
a man or a woman is anybody who identifies as a man or a woman. That's as easy.
Okay,
That's
but
literally as easy as it is. There's no other. There's
right.
no other go around with it. There's no other.
Okay. Sure.
It's that
What are
easy.
they identifying as? What does it mean? What what are they identifying
What?
as?
What do you mean? What are they identifying as?
What is a woman? It's as simple as a woman. Okay, but what is a woman? A woman is
A
someone who
woman is someone
identifies
who
as a woman.
is anyone who identifies as a woman.
Okay, what
And
are they identifying
just
as?
because they haven't transitioned does not mean that they are not oh here, I'm sorry. I had something pop up on my screen. But just because they
Do you know what a circular definition is?
uh maybe I don't think so. I don't know.
Go ahead and look it up.
But again, to my point, just because someone hasn't transitioned yet doesn't mean that they cannot identify as whatever gender they're choosing to identify as. So my question to you, I guess, would be
Okay,
really quick is what do you like, do you, to those that are non gender conforming, what do you think about people like that? Do you
what do you
just
mean non-gender conforming?
they're not
What do you
male or
mean?
female?
They need serious help
Why?
because they're wrong. You're either
Why are
one
they
or the
wrong?
other.
You haven't explained why they're wrong other than just bringing up Matt Walsh. You haven't explained why this is bad. You say, well, you know, these are
Well,
little
okay,
kids and they shouldn't be making these decisions because they're young. But
yeah,
again, we know that if we don't provide them the gender affirming care that will make them feel better, that they're going to feel worse. They're
but we don't.
we do. We know that. I showed you that. I've shown this so many times on my channel. If you don't believe it, you just not living in the real world. You're living in a delusion. This is the world that we live in now. This
We
is
can have an argument about who's actually living in a delusion, but look, a child cannot make the decision because it's not a decision that anybody should make, child or adult. But I am willing to draw the line at you're an adult, do whatever the hell you want. You want to ruin your body, become
it's not
a nothing. You're not male nor female. You don't have the proper functioning organs to become either one. Where did the term gender come from? Do you know that?
do you know that there's a difference between gender and sex? Do you know that they're
There
two
isn't though.
total there is
Sure.
100%.
Okay,
You don't
okay.
believe in
Where did the
science.
term
You
no,
don't believe in science. Gender is a
I
social
don't believe in the
construct.
science you believe in.
You
Okay,
don't
gender
believe
is a
in
social
science,
construct.
period.
Who came
You
up with the word gender?
I have no
Who
idea who
coined
came up
that
with
term?
I have no idea who coined the term gender. That's been around for a really long time.
No, it hasn't. It's been around since the late 1900s. John Money.
That's a pretty long time. It's 2023.
Yeah, and we're talking about like 40 years ago. 50, 60. In the 60s, 70s, I'm talking about. Like, this is recent history.
Mm-hmm.
John
So,
Money, or it was Alfred Kinsey. I'm not sure which one it is. I'm fairly certain it was John Money who came up with the term gender.
okay. And your point is,
My point is that somebody came up with this and it has nothing to do with anything. Gender
but that's what I just said. I
is
just
what
said
words
gender is a
have.
social construct. I just said that. You just proved
Let's
me right.
look.
That's what I just said.
Gender.
You just said gender is
Right.
something that someone made up. Yes, that's what a social construct is. It's something that someone made up. That's what I
Yeah.
just said.
Gender
You
is what
proved me
words
right.
have. Words, no, I didn't. Words
Yes, you
are
did.
gendered, not humans. Humans have sex,
Words,
biology,
no,
not
no, no, no,
gender.
no. That's no. That's like are you talking about like in language itself?
Yeah. Gender is for grammar, for words.
Y-
Words have gender, not humans. Humans have a sex.
In other languages, I know what you're talking about. Here in America, when you get taught English instead, like there is no that's not something that they teach you. They don't teach you about gendered words in the English language. That's not something that they teach you. In Spanish, when I took Spanish in school, it does matter. It does matter. You said gender was something that someone made up. It was just the exact same thing that I said. So
Yeah.
the difference between
Someone who, by the way, agreed with you, created your entire ideology.
there's no ideology here.
Yes,
There's no
there is.
ideology. What is the ideology?
That that a man can become a woman and a woman can become a man.
Yeah, that's called
That's
it's
the
reality.
ideology.
It's
No, it's not.
reality. It's not an ideology.
Look, just
It is
because you appear to be
reality.
something doesn't make you something. If you look
It's not
smart, that doesn't mean
appearing.
you are smart. It is appearing.
It's not
They don't have the
appearing.
proper, they don't have the body parts. They don't have the equipment necessary to become a woman or to become a
They
man.
do.
That's not
But
how
they
it
do.
works.
That is how it
No,
works.
you can't just
Yes.
create a uterus out of skin.
I didn't
That's not what a
say
uterus is.
that's not. No one is saying that you could just make shit up out of nothing. No one is saying that. But we
But that's
have.
what they're doing. They're making body parts out of fat and skin.
Oh, okay.
You don't see anything wrong with that? You don't see
What
how
is the
that's
so when somebody
impossible
gets
to do?
when someone's entire face gets burnt, half of it gets burnt, and they want to
Mhm.
do a skin graft, they'll take skin from the arms or something, and they'll
Right.
put that on to their face to make it, look
Correct.
less fucked up.
Right. That's because
So
something
that's
in their
bad. So that's
life
okay.
went
But when it
wrong.
comes to transgender people, it's not okay. I don't see how there
Yeah.
is a difference.
Okay, so that,
How
let's
is it
say,
different? What is the difference? Because they're
the
making it
difference
out of
is,
something?
no, the difference is a deformed body part can, in many cases, should be repaired. Like somebody runs into a fire, gets their face burned off. Yes, most definitely remove skin and make that human look like a human
So
instead
somebody
of a deformity.
so someone
But
that
when
feels
you
that
take healthy body parts, destroy them to create unworking body parts of the opposite gender, that's just insane.
why is it insane? I don't understand why you think that. You haven't explained why it's insane.
You don't
You are just
understand the
saying that it's
difference.
insane.
You don't
There's no
understand the difference between a completely healthy body part being ripped off and created into something else
but
and an
just
already deformed body part being
you do
repaired.
know that just because someone's physical body is healthy, that does not mean that they are okay mentally, right? And if they're
Of
not okay
course.
mentally and they get so far down the road that they wind up possibly maybe taking their own life because they're not able to receive this gender affirming care, then your whole argument of a healthy body, that shit's completely out the window because now that person's not here anymore. I don't understand how you say, well, it's a healthy body part. Well, what does that matter?
It matters a lot because
Why?
it's the way. Oh my God,
Why does
the
it
amount.
matter?
I
Why?
can't help myself from bringing God into this argument, and I can't bring him in.
You
Okay,
can, but I went to Christian school for my entire life, and I'm
I wouldn't say so. You
very
didn't
well
learn
versed on the
much.
Bible. Oh, I know a lot about the Bible, buddy. I could sit here all day and I disprove every
So then
fucking
why do
thing
you
you know
go
about the
against
Bible.
God?
Because I don't believe in God. Because science
Of course
doesn't
you're
support
against.
that. Science does not support that some giant dude in the sky created all this. That's
It's not
not
a
what
giant
science
dude in the sky.
supports.
So you say you're a Christian,
Also,
or
the
you were a
Bible's
Christian.
fucked up, man. The Bible is really fucked up. There's some fucked up shit in the Bible. And I also think
Of
that
course
God
there
has
is.
done some really
Humans are
fucked up
fucked up.
shit. Yeah.
Of course he has. Humans are fucked up. Look, we can
So
go
what
around in
so
circles
basically
all
your whole
day.
entire argument is based off Christianity and
No, no,
somehow
no, 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 no.
then what is it based off of?
It's based off of logic, bro.
It's not. Nothing you have said is logical. I've disproved
How
almost
isn't it?
every single thing
No,
you've
you
said.
haven't.
You haven't even
No, bro.
shown me any data. You've shown me no data. You brought up Matt Walsh's
I don't need to show you data to
you do.
fight
If
with
you
you on
don't
this
show
on logic alone.
if I'm gonna when I post this, because we're almost out of time here, because
Yeah,
apparently I guess the Zoom call doesn't go past however long we've been doing this. When I
an hour,
post
I
this,
think.
my viewers are gonna sit there. I'm not trying to be mean, but they're gonna laugh at you because
I
you
don't
haven't
care.
shown
I don't
anything.
care.
You haven't
I
shown
don't
anything.
care, bro.
But
I was bullied for 13 years in school. I
your
don't give a
argument
fuck what people think.
your argument is 100% so easily disprovable. You have no argument.
It's
You haven't
disprovable
said
because you
anything.
just say no, you're
All
wrong.
because you're just saying things that aren't right. That's why I'm saying that. And
That's not
again,
true. That's not
yes, it
true.
is. Yes, it is. What if before we go, just really quick, what is again, really quick, your problem that you have with transgender people?
I don't have a problem with transgender people. I have a problem with transitioning children.
And so you don't think that giving these young people the gender affirming care that they need so that they don't become mentally or possibly physically ill that's not important. That doesn't matter to you.
People's feelings don't matter. What matters is what you do.
It's not a feeling.
It is.
It's not a feeling. That's not what it is. People don't
Okay,
wake up
what's
one day and
depression?
say, I feel
Feeling
like
bad, feeling sad.
depression is
It's a
not
feeling.
feeling sad, bro. That's not what depression is. Depression is not just being sad. That, bro, I know that that's not what you really think. And if that is what you really think, then
I've been
I don't know.
depressed for longer than you. Oh my God. Look.
I have a lot of